3 self-help books not to read, and I am the definitive resource on this, all right? So when I say goes, there is no arguing about this purely subjective topic, all right? You write anything nasty in the comments, and I hope that a curse comes on you. You know those ones that you definitely really happened, where if you didn't pass that chain on Hotmail, then you would die of some ring girl coming out and eating your cock? I hope that happens to you, if you disagree with this at all. And I'd like to also take this opportunity to say that you should come see my live show. You should come see my live show because I pay out one of the following books in it. Ooh, which one is it? Now you're going to have to come, won't you? Curiosity killed the cat and all. I think I'm going to Tasmania, if that place even exists. And of course, I'm going to be doing Melbourne, and that's going to be a charity show. And then I think that the ones in December after that are all just going to be charity shows, and I'm going to give them away because I'm a wonderful, great human being. Anyway, let's get on to the first one. The first one is, and it is the joke of this self-help channel, which is the subtle art of not giving a fuck. I hate the subtle art of not giving a fuck. You know what that should be called? It should be called Buddhism for douchebags. That's all it is. I hate all of his stories as well. It's this whole thing of like, he fucked around a lot in South America and then didn't make it in a band, mostly because I didn't try too hard. Anyway, here's some stories about the Ramones. Fuck off. So lame. I went to South... Don't you think this is a comment? Of course that man went to South America. It is the mecca for douches. Every time you ever go to a party and there's some guy without a shirt on that has one of those wispy moustaches that is definitely going to get with one of the top 3 hottest chicks there, what are they? Every time. Hey, mates, Brazil, have a good times. Hey, look at that nice ace, baby. They're always the same person. It's every douchebag on earth that is just guaranteed to get pussy their entire life. They are enamored, attracted to Brazil. They're always going to go there. And so I think if you just read it, look, if it gets you to self-help, whatever. People always say it's a gateway drug, perhaps. But I always think that the following 3 self-help books that I'm about to say, they're all extremely famous self-help books. And I don't know, for whatever reason, Tony Robbins is just like, oh, he's a snake oil salesman because his teeth are whiter than mine. So that's the only other one that's in the same realm as the other ones that I'm going to be reciting. And then the rest of them are kind of just by the wayside. There's some that are heavy hitters as well that I think are genuinely good, but I think that there's a lot that just really don't deserve their fame. And I think that the reason they do have their fame is because they're all read by people that will never read another self-help book in their life, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, that was really profound. Did it do anything for you? No, it didn't change my life at all. Like, dude, what is the subtle art of not giving a fuck that is explained in it well? I still to this day, I remember reading it and just being like, you fucking dick. And then that was the end. And I really don't think that I learned anything from it. But I think maybe it was because I was really late on in the process. I think a lot of people actually did read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And so the first time in their life, they're like, oh yeah, it's kind of true. If you just like don't care about it and just keep practicing and get better at it, I guess. Like that guy never did. He never got good at anything. It shits me. Anyway, and then the fucking shots, right? Like, as well. It's so much... I always say it, but the 70s shot of the guy with the horseshoe hair, wearing a turtleneck scarf, sitting outside some Maui beach, smiling, being like, How much better is that guy than that guy passed out in an alleyway, drunk on Red Bulls? Which we all know is just a metaphor for coke. Anyway, that's why I hate it. The book that I recommend that is a great alternative to it, though, it's by Daniel Goleman, and I can never remember it, so I had to write down the heading of it. But when I go back and I look at my notes, I think that, like, in one of my, like, Better Living books, I think that there's, like, it should just be devoted to a chapter of it. It's just a summary, everything that was ever written in it, and it's because it is an interview with the Dalai Lama, and it is called Destructive Emotions. Destructive Emotions is the better subtle art of not giving a fuck. You know why? Because he's the Dalai Lama! He's not fucking some fuckboy that's in his 40s and realized, like, oh shit, I better make some money, my inheritance is running out. He's just going to be better than him. Well, even though the Tibetans were extremely brutal human beings. But, well, doesn't matter about that, right? I'm just going to say some things that'll probably get me cancelled after that. So, but the thing is, I like the Dalai Lama a lot. He's got a really funny laugh. And the thing is, he has some very, very good insights about spiritual transformation. Obviously, because he's the Dalai Lama. So, and this is an interview with a guy that has written, I think, 20 books. 20 books on emotional psychology, really. And with his emotional psychology books, he is able to ask very precise questions and make very good observations about how to overcome destructive emotions and also how to get the most out of yourself. As I say all the time, most successful religion, when it goes to a country like America where it's just like, it's a free-for-all, everybody, it's the carnival of capitalism. Who always goes to the top of those societies? Buddhists. Buddhists always go to the top, and it is because they are able to still their mind, they're able to focus on the bigger picture, and they're just more decent human beings. And wouldn't you know, if someone has the choice of dealing with someone who's a decent human being or a dick, they're going to choose the decent human being. And in most of your fields, you're not a special little snowflake, are you, Buttercup? No. There are going to be other people in it that are going to want to compete with you. You know, like it's the classic, Levi's. These are the brands that saw an overcrowded market and said, me too. They're going to be doing that. So I think that it is the far better version of the subtle art of not giving a fuck. If you like the subtle art of not giving a fuck, well, I don't give a fuck. And clearly by the fact that I said that, I do. So I do. I hate the recognition that book gets. I'm such a hipster when it comes to self-help books. I'm one of those people who's just like, oh, yeah, you like Nickelback? The Alchemist. Oh, The Alchemist. Such another. It's just every douchebag I've ever met in my life is like, this book changed me. How? Well, I'm still a douchebag, so obviously it was, as the previous title would suggest, subtle. I just think that it's a really boring narrative. Everybody thinks, oh, it's so profound because it's written that way. And then everybody just poo-poos The Secret, which says exactly the same thing. I thought The Secret was way better than The Alchemist. That was my personal opinion anyway. And you know why, though? I think it's because, again, The Secret was the first self-help book that I ever read. And so I was like, wow, it's so magical. And so I think that that's what happens with The Alchemist, now that I think about it. So if you like that, good on you. And I'm sorry for ruining your dreams. You're really mean doing this one. Crushing your dreams with Jordan Shanks. Sign up today for better living. But I think that the better version of The Alchemist, and I think that just Wayne Dyer says it way better than both of them, because both of them, I think, just have this kind of magical mystique about it, which is great. I am a huge proponent of the whole, like, fortune teller Gnostic forest stuff. I love going in there and seeing a bunch of middle-aged women that were clearly touched up as kids. But they all, as a result of that, clearly make this, fantasy fairy world where everyone has their dreams and they can come true. And also there's a dollar bookstore thing that sometimes has some pretty good books in it. And then there's a bunch of books that are really overpriced. But yeah, those kind of books, I'm a big fan of them. I like those magic books. But I think that the one that kind of is, he's just got a knack for it. He's able to just keep that magic mysticism that keeps you going and being like, wow, I'm reading an enchanted book at a Harry Potter library with some kind of very good, grounded psychological observations that marry these two things better than most people, which I think is Dr. Wayne Dyer. If you ever need a grandfather figure to be like, you fell over and broke your knee, that's all right, Violet. You just get back up. Should I go see the hospital? No, just keep riding on that broken knee. Well, he never recommended that. But his book, you'll believe it. No, sorry, you'll see it when you believe it. Very clever play on words, isn't it? Because I just fell for it again because I'm an idiot. I wish I was as smart as Wayne Dyer and that I had his nice horseshoe haircut. I love that hair. The older I get, the more I appreciate any guy that has that horseshoe hair. Quite effeminate, still a legend. I don't know why that is. And so, maybe just because I didn't have the testosterone to go all out bald like Johnny Sins. It's got to be the least attractive hair on earth, but also the funniest. Paradoxes of life. I think that is a way better version of The Alchemist. I just think that, like, any of his books where he's kind of describing how the law of attraction should properly be used, which is that, yes, you think about it, and crazy coincidences do happen when you do think about this stuff. And I truly do believe in that whole idea that you thinking about something for a long time, not only just on a psychological level, you start noticing it. I actually do There are things that have happened to me in the past. I've gone on this on my channel before a million times before, so I'm not going to say the pigeon story again. But every now and then, there's just something where you're thinking about it too much and you think, nah, okay, it's magic. And I know that some people are going to be like, yeah, well, that's just because of random chance that happened. Just let me live in my dreams. And he allows you to do that, but he also does it in a very practical way that marries it into real life reality. You'll believe it when you see it, I think, is so much better than like, once there was this stock standard narrative character, and he met a bunch of other stock standard narrative characters, went into a bunch of stock standard fantasy situations. The end. Just, look at them both. Just both of them obsessed with South America. I think I just hate the continent. And then Power by Robert Greene. See, another one. This one isn't usually read by douchebags. It's usually read by dickheads. And look, yes, okay, it has some good points in it. Let me ask you this, though. Do you actually practically ever use it? No, I don't think that you do. That's my only gripe with it, actually. I think it's just like, yeah, okay, he's dead on about half of them. I think out of half of them, you like, Well, look, I don't work in a corporate office. It probably is dead on about 100% of them. But that's all I'm just saying. It's like, didn't ring with me, so it sucked. Fuck you, Robert. Maybe he's right. Look, I think it probably is probably a pretty good book. I don't know. It's just another one of the, it's just the inner, this weird realm of just being like a self-help snob of like, oh, you have read it as well? And also that classic self-help the hipster thing of them just like all these weird obsequious movies that were made in fucking Mexico in the 70s, and then all of a sudden just like you say like, oh yeah, Marvel, and it's just like, you know what, I'm so sick and tired of people making fun of Marvel, okay, like it's just whatever everybody likes, they're just like, oh, I don't like the opposite, what do you think about that? So that's, I think, no, it actually is. I do think that Tony Robbins is a complete life changer, and if you haven't read his books, then that is really, really bad and on you. And you, the only person that is harming is you. Don't believe all these fucking stupid idiot BuzzFeed losers that are always using him as the butt of a joke. It's just like, oh, okay, do you have a Fijian island? How about you shut up then? The other one that I think is the better version of Robert Greene's, and this is the one that like kept me up at night. If you've ever listened to the Neil and Jordan podcast, I talk about it all the time. But The Blueprint Decoded by Tyler Durden, who was a pickup artist. One of those ones of the mystery like game circle. He was actually like the bad guy in that. So you know that he knows about the laws of power when the other pickup artists are looking at him like he's the devil, right? And so he still has a really good self-help channel that I highly recommend people go to on YouTube is the format that it's on. A lot of it today is like really off the cuff stuff, and he's still very good at it. And he's like got that pimp mouth where he can just keep talking. Very engaging, not young man. He does still use the word dude though, which does freak me out. It's a lot like when you look at Eminem, when you grew up enamored by someone, and then you look at them now and you forgot about them for 10 years, and you're just like, oh, fuck, he's 50, right? So that's happened to him, and yeah, still very useful channel. But The Blueprint Decoded. I remember when I first read that as a 20-year-old, I think I was. I think I was in Korea at the time. And I remember, because it's like a 4-day seminar. So there's a lot more in it than 58 laws. I remember after the third day, looking up at the ceiling, the sun was down. And then I noticed that the ceiling started to get bright. I was staring at the ceiling, thinking about what was in that for 3 days. Sorry, for an entire night, that 3-day thing. And then he says the next day, he's like, did anybody have any problems sleeping last night? And then people raise their hands. And he was like, that's normal. That's normal, this part of the seminar. The things in that, in terms of human psychology and how you perceive the world, terrifying. Terrifying. It's a lot of stuff that you'll read all the time in self-help books, and you'll be like, yeah, I kind of get it. But if you have somebody sitting there and being like, no, really think about this for 4 days, you're just like, oh my God. It's one of the biggest red pills that I've ever had in my life, I reckon. It was The Blueprint Decoded. I think that is a way better version than 48 Powers of Law or whatever the fuck it was called. And I read them actually coincidentally at the same time as well. And I was just like, I just went straight back to The Blueprint Decoded. Then I showed my friend that, and that screwed him up. And then I showed another friend. This is just a word of warning, because it did screw him up. And, the same thing happened to me as well. I think like it's just a lot to handle and process. I honestly think it's kind of like, when you take mushrooms and then your concept of reality changes so much that you sit there thinking about, what if like my hand was there and then it wasn't? And then that freaks you out. You have to process it for like 3 years, and then you're like, I suppose I could go again. Unless you're from the Blue Mountains, in which case you're taking mushrooms right now. But most people don't. That's the scary situation that you have to deal with when you watch this. So it is a word of warning. It is not for the faint of heart. Just another piece of advice. I showed it to another friend. I wasn't watching it with him because I just wanted to rewatch it, and I watched it with that guy. And yeah, he was the same thing. It was just like I couldn't stop thinking about it for 3 years. And then that guy, he watched it, and he one day came back to me, and he was a woman. So he had a sex change in London, I think it was. He was just like, yeah, I'm coming back to London. I want to meet you. Came back. He was a woman. Shocked the shit out of me when I came and saw him. Didn't seem to be inclined that way at all. He came up to me, and he basically just came up to me to say, you fucked my life up because of that. And then walked away. So anyway, maybe I'm not recommending that now that I think about it. Anyway, it's up to you. The thing is, it's too deep. I think that a lot of people can't handle it. So maybe the 48 laws of power, but it's along that same line of just like thinking about the dynamics of how people actually interact, and then you start getting very scared about it. There is an uplifting message at the end of it. I recommend that you focus on that quite a bit. Anyway, make sure that you like and subscribe if you want me to interpret it to you in a much more fun, uplifting way. There's a bunch of other books as well, and then synthesizing. And this is the important part. This is why you need to sign up to Jordan Shanks. Keep drilling it in your head, because you will always go back to, I want to be lazy. I want to sit on my ass. No, I'm not going to let you do that. You sign up to Jordan Shanks. I'm going to be your personal coach. Yeah? And I'm going to get you results like I have with hundreds of people across this country who have been watching this for years. And it costs them nothing. The amount of money that it costs for the education that you get. There is nothing that is going to get you further in life than Jordan Shanks. If you do not sign up, it only hurts you. There, I said it. Make sure you sign up. It's pennies on the pound. And on top of that, it truly is. The value that you get for the tiny, tiny investment, absolutely worth it. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe. Come see my live show.